everyone, my name is Jess and in today's video I'm going to try to learn how to tie a tie. By the end of this video I should be able to learn some basic tying skills and maybe even teach you too. As part of my assessment I jumped on the internet and started by researching the procedure. I found that Wiki defines a necktie as a long piece of cloth worn usually by men for decorative purposes around the neck, resting under the shirt collar and knotted at the throat. To take you through a bit of history, the necktie actually traces back to the 17th century during the 30 War in France, where King Louis VIII hired Croatian mercenaries who wore a piece of cloth around their neck as part of their uniform. King Louis was quite fond of it, so much so that he made these ties a mandatory accessory for royal gatherings. Moving on, I was able to find a few step-by-step tutorials on how to tie a tie. These descriptions, however, weren't actually giving me the best visual examples of how to tie a tie, so I went on to do some further research on YouTube. Videos upon videos showed me many different aspects of the procedure. I finally picked a video that I found easy to learn from. This is based on Jean Piaget's cognitive learning theory, as I found myself drawing from my own practices and relating it to my research in order to learn this new task. It's time to get up and tie.
A few moments later.
A lot harder than I thought, so I went back to the computer and looked up more videos on tying. The technique that I was using was completely different to what I was used to. To me, this was my process of Piaget's adaptation through accommodation. I needed to find an expert in tying a tie, and who better to ask than my father? My dad basically specializes in tying ties. He's been doing it for years now, so he took me through step-by-step procedures through direct instruction based on Skinner's behaviors theory. Dad was a great model. He took me through drill and practice. We stopped to refer back to recordings of ourselves and reflect on things I needed to improve on, such as how to hold the short side of the tie and how to hold the long side of the tie. I found it so much easier learning from someone else. This made me utilize Albert Bandura's social learning theory that suggests that people can learn by observing the behaviors of others and the outcomes of those behaviors. Going back to what I knew at the start and what I know now, it is safe to say that we're supporting cognitive theorist Lev Vygotsky and his zone of proximal development. Dad helped scaffold my learning by demonstrating the steps I couldn't acquire. The way he taught me how to hold the tie echoed that of a scaffolding approach to teaching, which Lev Vygotsky coined through his use of the theory. He provided support necessary to enable me to accomplish a task, and therefore I could continue independently. I found that I was learning through the observation of movement. So I began building on my self-efficacy from the social cognitivist views on motivation. Seeing Dad tie his own tie inspired and motivated me to work harder, so I too could tie my tie like him. This learning is linked with intrinsic motivation, as it was a skill I wanted to acquire for myself to broaden my own tying abilities. Having completed most of the steps, it gives me a chance to do an important part of the teaching and learning process. So on reflection of my own learning, in order to complete any similar task as a teacher in the future, I think it is important that I do more research to obtain more knowledge of the task. Instead of relying on my own knowledge, I could learn through how others complete the task while watching them. Having now completed it myself, I can happily say that I know how to tie a tie, and I hope you've learnt something too.